back to Lex Reads. So in today's video, we are going to do books that are like relationship driven slash dysfunctional. This is one of my favorite themes when I'm reading a book because I'm nosy. So I have quite a few just to mention. And when I tell you, this is another, again, theme and genre that gets me where I need to be. Guys, yes. So, okay, let's get started. So the first one is a recent one that I read. I did a buddy read with Semiyah. Okay. This is Liar's Game by Eric Jerome Dickey. Now, this was not what I thought it was going to be. This probably was my least favorite Eric Jerome Dickey book. So, okay. It's about a couple named Dana and Vince. And they start off with a lie. Basically, Vince has been married before, and he has a kid, and he doesn't tell that to Dana. And then Dana, she's like, has basically run to Los Angeles, is where the book is set, to run away from her past relationship. She doesn't have like really no money, she's just struggling when it comes to financial, aspects in her life. So Vincent comes, into the picture, and they start a relationship, and it's just like, again, they just lying throughout the relationship, basically. I did not enjoy this. It was no accountability. That was a major thing. Both of them got on my nerves. Dana got on my nerves. If you've read the book, you will know what I mean. When me and Semiyah were reading it, we were like, seriously? Like, what in the world is going on? This book was not where it needed to be. This is a dysfunctional relationship. All right. The next is Disappearing Acts by Terry McMillan. Now, I really enjoyed this. When I first read this book, sorry guys, I'm looking at my iPad. When I first read this book, I actually listened to an audio, and Terry McMillan did the narrating for it. Now, this book, it talks about Franklin and Zora. Franklin is like a construction worker. He works mainly based on like contracts, so his job is, they're really fickle. And then you have Zora, who is an inspired singer. She is a music teacher, and they meet because he helps her move into her brownstone. This also is a man that he's not divorced. He has 2 kids, and he hasn't told that to Zora. And they get like really involved. And yeah, this one was another one where it was like, come on, dude, like you could have just been straight up. And then even with Zora, it was like she just fell so much in love with him. It was kind of like, well, I'm just gonna kind of deal with it a little bit, because she does get stuck. I don't want to tell you guys what happened. But the end, you got closure, but you understood the way it ended. I wasn't mad at it, but I wasn't happy at the same time. But for me, if you can give me closure, I'm fine with it. And I always say with Terry McMillan, her dialogue is just bomb. Like, that's what makes almost a story. I mean, she knows how to tell a well-rounded story. And then again, with that dialogue, if you are a Black woman, you really know, you get that feel. You know what I mean? You feel like you're talking to your sister, your mama, your cousin, your brother, like everybody. So that's one reason why I really did enjoy this book. And then, I mean, it's Terry McMillan, so yeah. Next is Loving Donovan by, of course, Bernice L. McFadden. You guys know I have to mention Bernice L. McFadden book. I mean, this is my favorite author of all time. She does no wrong. So this talks about a girl named Campbell and a man named Donovan. Campbell comes from a family that her dad just always messed around. It's infidelity throughout that marriage, and she kind of has a little bit of like daddy issues a little bit. Then you have Donovan, who also comes from a family that it's a lot of secrets, it's dysfunctional, and he's keeping a secret, and that secret makes him it makes him guarded. And years later, Donovan and Campbell, they meet each other, and they don't know they actually grew up in the same neighborhood, but they never came across each other until they're adults. Now, the way this ended, it was like, it was so bittersweet because I say he was guarded, and that's the reason why it ended the way it ended. Um, I'm like being around the bush, but I don't want to give it away because it's a big, spoiler. And if you have read this book, you understand what I'm talking about. But again, it did give you closure, but it was kind of like, I could see why people said they like threw this book on the floor, when they were done, because it does make you think, it does make you feel that way. But I mean, what can I say about Bernice? I mean, Bernice can just write anything and make it just the bomb. This author is amazing. I can't recommend her books enough. She knows how to tell a story. But this one, it got to my heart. It really did. Next is, oh Lord, this one was a trip. Eva's Man, girl. This one is real dysfunctional. I got to put this in the dysfunctional category of, this relationship driven type themes in books. This talks about Eva and Davis. Eva is, she has struggled with sexual abuse and she's been silent about it, but she basically murders him. It's not a spoiler. She murders him, and then you see how her life has gone on when she's in prison. She basically is, telling the story. This was very bizarre. This book was real bizarre. You got to get your mind right when you read Gail Jones, because, oh Lord, that's all I got to say with this one. It was a roller coaster ride. It honestly was. It's not a book for everyone because of the themes and stuff, but it still overall was a really good book, I would say. Next is Tari Jones' Silver Sparrow. I really like this book. Now this one, it's basically about John Witherspoon, who is a bigamist. He has two families, and one family doesn't know about the other. So it was a particular thing that one of the wives said, because they both are married to John Witherspoon. You have Laverne, who actually is living with John, and then you have Gwendolyn, who is not living with him, but again, they're both married. Gwendolyn said, it's on page 4, she says, Lorraine is the wife. She found him first, and my mother has always respected the other woman's rights. What? This book, oh my goodness, it frustrated me. It was realistic, and again, I mean, it's a man that's a bigamist, so of course it's not going to end up, in a nice, perfect bow. But it just frustrated me that, like, bruh, you know what you're doing, what you're doing is wrong. And then even with, like, Gwendolyn, the wife that knows about, his current wife, is like, girl, seriously? Like, I mean, like, seriously? This book was a trip. This is another dysfunctional relationship. Next is, girl, all these are dysfunctional. Lester by Raven Lilani. This is a newer book. It came out, I want to say about 2 years ago. So you have Edie, who is a 20-something-year-old girl that she just struggling, in your 20s, your early 20s, you don't know if you're coming or going. You're trying to find a career that you like, and you're not established yet. But she gets in cahoots with Eric, who is a married man. But his wife, they have an open relationship, and she knows about Edie, and Edie's going through, a lot, especially financially. And she's like, you know what? The wife's like, well, you can move in with us. But it's like the wife knows about what's going on. She knows that obviously they're sleeping together, but she like doesn't like it. But it's like an open marriage. It's like, girl, what? But then the couple has this adopted daughter that is Black, and, she's living in this white neighborhood, has these white parents. So, of course, identity is a big thing. And Edie they become close. This was bizarre. It it was bizarre. It was, yeah, it really was bizarre. But I have to say, Raven is a really good writer. She kept you on your toes. You want to know what's going to happen. I did enjoy it. And the cover, beautiful. Ugh. Next, Lord, Queenie by Candace Carty Williams. First of all, get into this cover. Amazing. Okay, now let's get into the story. Queenie Jenkins is also in her 20s. She is Jamaican and British. She is a journalist, and she has recently broken up with her boyfriend, who is white. Now, her boyfriend, he has this little fetish thing, you know. I think he deals with her because she is black. You know, he has that thing where I like the way black women body look, the way their breasts look, the way their bottom look, you know, all of that. And they break up, and she cannot get over him. She just like, oh Lord, she sprung. So in order for her to cope with what's happening with their breakup, she just sleeps with these random men, and then she gets tested to see, you know, if she has anything. And she does that. And it's like, girl, I don't know how many men she go through. And it's like, Queenie, are you serious? And she puts her career in jeopardy, her personal life in jeopardy. But when you read deep into it, you realize she has issues when it comes to, she has daddy issues. This is a book where you will not forget at all. It's almost like a one and done. This is a book I don't need to read more than once, because I cannot remember. I can remember exactly what she did. But yeah, this was a dysfunctional relationship, if you can call it that. And then next we have Blues Dancing by Diane McKinney Westone. I've talked about this several times. This is about a girl named Verda, who is, she comes from a prominent family. Her dad is a preacher from the South. And she goes to college to meet Johnson. Johnson is from a single parent household. His mother is kind of like, you know, holds him accountable for everything. He's almost like the man in her life. And, you know, because of his struggle, you know, he dabbles in drugs, and he gets Verda in, you know, cahoots with it, because she's like sprung. And then comes a man named Ro, who's a college professor at her school. And he's always just been enamored with Verda, because she's like really, really smart, and he sees all this potential. So he ends up like leaving his wife and getting with her, but he controls her, because he actually does help her get off of drugs and all that, but he uses that, you know, to his benefit. Because again, like I said, he controls her, and she feels like, well, this man has saved my life. He's turned my life around. I kind of have to be with him. But then Johnson comes back in the picture, and you see how, you know, it goes. I really did enjoy this book. I read this. This was the first book I read this year. Yeah. Diane McKinney Westone is a brilliant writer. She doesn't get the praise that she deserves. All her books are different. Also, all her books are set in Philadelphia. That's where she's from. If you haven't picked up a Diane McKinney Westone book, please pick one up. She's known for a book called Tumbling, which is fantastic. But this book I really did enjoy, just to see just to see that kind of like love triangle. Yeah, it was a roller coaster ride. And then lastly is a book I listened to by, again, one of my favorite authors, who is Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. It's called Zacora. Zacora is a short story. So basically Zacora is about a girl, well, she's a woman, almost in her 40s. She becomes involved with a man named, what's this man's name? Kwame, I think. And she just thinks like he's such a perfect man. In the beginning, he is. They just, you know, their relationship is just so sweet. But she becomes pregnant, and he's like how? And her thing is like, seriously, what you mean how? But basically he dumps her because she becomes pregnant. He don't want to deal with that. And so she's like, you know what? I'm having this baby. I'm almost 40. And the whole story, it's she's in labor, and she's going, you know, back of how like their relationship was and everything, and, you know, the good and the bad. And she's calling him. He doesn't want to talk to her. He's, you know, he's over it. And you just see like, seriously, dude, like, you know, they're both established. They're both attorneys. And it's like, you literally gonna do me like that? Oh, he got on my last nerve, and it ends in the cliffhanger. I mean, it's a short story. Chimamanda did say that she was going to continue with the story. I hope she does, because I want to know what's gonna happen. I listened to the story and I actually bought it too. It's about an hour and something. It's so good. Guys, please read it. And if you have read it, what did you think about it? Because again, I want to know what's gonna happen. I honestly do. So yeah, but yeah, guys, that's all I have for you when it comes to these relationship driven books slash dysfunctional. It looks like we have more dysfunctional books, but those kind of make the best. So yeah, guys, that's all I have for you, and I'll be back with more black books. Bye.